The Alice Stewart Show is on the air and on your radio right now. Here's more from Alice on 96.5 The Voice.
And we're back on the Alice Stewart Show, 746, joined via the Royal Overhead Door Hotline with our Lieutenant Governor Mark Darr, who has been in a ethics violation issue. He is facing $11,000 in fines by the Ethics Commission for various violations, and he has announced he is not stepping down. He is not resigning. He is putting a stake in the ground, and the Lieutenant Governor joins us now. Lieutenant Governor, thank you for staying with us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
And I want to ask you this. We heard your side of it and your thoughts and your response to what is out there, but there are a lot of folks, political elected officials, who are calling for you to step down and you to resign, starting with Governor Mike Beebe, other folks running for elected office, Mike Ross. We have many Republicans as well. Our entire congressional delegation, Republicans, have asked for your resignation, and your response to that.
Well, one, not one of those people over the past few months or the past week prior to making that statement or their statements or anything have called to ask any questions of me to verify the facts or to know the facts or to get my side of the story. And so, especially our congressional delegation, and I made this very clear to them, I'm very disappointed in them. And it's not that I dislike them. I like them. But I was very surprised out of four out of 5 of them. And I think that anyone who's asked for my resignation as of right now, and it includes them, are either acting politically, they're ignorant of the facts, or they made an emotional response. And it doesn't mean that I dislike them. It's not that at all. I've made it very clear to each one of them that I'm still a big fan of them, and I'm not going to mention any names, but a couple of them have called me and apologized how they've handled it, and I've appreciated that, and I'm not going to go rip any bumper stickers off my car and put Democrat bumper stickers on there for sure.
Well, and Governor Darr, you say that they are ignorant of the facts prior to them calling for your resignation. However, the Ethics Commission did find you in violation of some ethics laws, and you are subject to a fine. And a lot of the motivation behind specifically Republicans asking for your resignation was to work on instilling confidence in the public trust in our elected officials, and that was a top concern.
Yeah, well, the Ethics Commission fined $11,000. It's not up to me to of them. I mean, they didn't explain really how they came up with how they fined me $11,000 and how they at first fined Paul Bookout $4,000 for what may be hundreds of thousands of taking other people's money and use it for personal use. He fought his and got an $8,000 fine, and I'm not a rich person, and the way I looked at it is that if I fight that to the end, and I could very well get a $22,000 fine. And so, even though I disagree with their wording in their document and the fine that they imposed, I wanted to move forward personally, my family, and then also just as an individual. I mean, some things just aren't worth fighting, and so I would rather just pay that fine and move on.
And Governor Darr, you mentioned Paul Bookout. He's a Jonesboro Democrat state senator. He also faced an ethics scandal in last year. He resigned from office. We have our former state treasurer, Martha Schaffner, had some issues which called into question the public's trust with regard to her. She resigned from office. And many who are doing the same, calling for your resignation, say, look, when there's a betrayal of the public trust, these elected officials should step down to restore confidence in our elected officials.
Yeah, I think that statement's a political buzzword that makes people feel good. I haven't really heard a public outcry for my resignation. I've definitely heard a political outcry. But I really don't feel that the public trust is violated by mistakes, especially, and when you compare that to the other two people, there was no conspiracy on my side. There was no malicious intent. There's no pool in my backyard. There's no theater room here that I use other people's campaign money for, or really even mine for. There was no pie box ever delivered to my front door with thousands of dollars in it. And so I think that, there was definitely with other folks a willful intent and a total disregard of the law. And that's the furthest thing from the truth in that. And so yesterday for me was just really about setting the record straight. And the way I look at it is that people have to do what they have to do. They're responsible to the same constituents that I am. I just don't hear, I don't hear constituents coming forward in droves and picketing in Sheridan or Hot Springs Village or anywhere else demanding for my head.
And you mentioned in terms of a public outcry, and a lot of it you say is political. Your colleagues there at the state capitol, one being House Speaker Davy Carter, Republican from Cabot, he has acknowledged that he has been getting calls and has had conversations concerning possible impeachment proceedings against you. And these are your colleagues, as we've said, some Republican. What are your thoughts about possible impeachment proceedings?
Well, first of all, let me say this, is that, I asked the people of Arkansas for forgiveness, and it would be wrong of me to ask for forgiveness if I'm not willing to forgive those people. And, to me, Davy Carter has called me. Davy's a good friend of mine, and I think he's operated with class. It doesn't necessarily mean that I've always agreed with every one of his stances, but I think that goes both ways. But, Davy's a House Speaker. He has a job to do, and if the majority of his members tell him that he needs to do something, then by golly, he needs to do it. And so definitely no hard feelings there.
Governor Darr, one last question. Do want to ask you this. You say you will not step down. You will not resign. You have a stake in the ground, and you will continue business as usual there in the Lieutenant Governor's office. We obviously have a fiscal session coming up. What is it you say you will continue business as usual? What would possibly change your mind?
Yesterday, like I said, I put a stake in the ground for Arkansans to let them know that normal people can serve, that you don't have to be perfect. And if we're going to demand everybody in the Capitol to be perfect, I promise you it's going to be a ghost town. There's not going to be anybody there. And when we start setting a precedent of removing people that we just don't like or that's a distraction to us, and there's going to be tumbleweeds in there. And so I think that people want leaders who are humans, that admit their mistakes, own up to them instead of hide them like some other politicians, and move on. But I'm in this as long as it's right for me and my family. Obviously, we're people, we're humans, and some people are cruel. And so as long as my wife and my kids are okay, they come first. They've always come first. It's not about this title or about the job or the parking place at the Capitol. It's about my family. And as long as I feel that we can handle it as a family, then we're in it. And then the second that I feel that it's not in the best interest of my family, whether it be before impeachment, after impeachment, whatever, then we'll move on to what's next.
All right. Well, Lieutenant Governor Mark Darr, we appreciate your coming on today and addressing these issues amidst a lot of calls for your resignation. You acknowledge you are not stepping down. You have a stake in the ground, and certainly I appreciate your time, and thank you for your time this morning.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Alice.
All right, take care. Have a good day. And I encourage folks to continue to listen to the Alice Stewart Show. We will take the audio tape of that interview and put it up on our Facebook page, The Alice Stewart Show. Also, clips on Twitter. Thank you for listening to The Alice Stewart Show. That wraps it up today. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, and have a great day.
license. I thank God I was an American child.
The Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
American child.